सदा नामी जयति राम राम हरे राम Ram Sharanam, Shri 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 Vaikunth Gopala Churanare, Jai Devi Ram, Vaikunth Ram, Jai Devi Ram, Vaikunth Ram, Gopala Churanare, Atma-bhiraman Prabhu Swami Ram, Atma-bhiraman Swami Ram, Shri Rama Sharanam Bhaje, Shri Rama Sharanam Bhaje, Shri Rama Sharanam Sharanam, Shri Rama Sharanam, Shri Rama Sharanam Bhaje, Shri Rama Sharanam, Shri Rama Sharanam, Shri Rama Sharanam, Shri Rama Sharanam, Rama Sharanam. Sahana vavatu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Saha viryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant Bhaja Govinda 31. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Modha Mate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrun Karane. Bhagavad Gita Kinchita Dhita Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita Sakradapi Yena Murari Samarcha Kriyate Tasya Yamena Nacharcha. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, chatare shayanam. Iha samsare bahu sustare, krupaya pare pahi murare. Rathyaachar patha virachita kantaha punya punya vivarjita pantaha yogi yoga niyojita cheto ramate balon mattava deva Kastvam koham kota ayataha kame janani ko me tataha iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishvam tyaktva swapna vicharam Tvai mai chanyatraiko vishnuhu vyartham kopyasi mayasa hishnuhu bhava samachitha sarvatra tvam vanchasya chiradhyadi vishnu tvam shatrau mitre putre bandhau ma kuru yatnam vigraha sandhau sarvasminnapi pashyatmanam sarvatsro sruja bheda jnanam kamam krodham lobham moham त्यक्त्वात्मानं पश्यति सोऽहम् आत्मज्ञानविहीना मूढा ते पच्यन्ते नरकनिगूढः ज्ञेयं गीता नाम सहस्रं ध्येयं श्रीपति रूपमजस्रम् नेयं सज्जन संगे चेत्तं देयं दीनजनाय च वेत्तम् सुखतः क्रियते रामाभो पश्चाद्यन्तशरीरः यद्यपि लोके मरणं शरणम् अपि न मुञ्चति पापाचरणम् अर्थमनर्थं भयनित्यं नास्ति ततः शुकलेशः सत्यम् सर्वत्रैषा विहिता रीतिः प्राणायामं प्रत्याहारं नित्यानेत्यविवेकविचारम् जाप्यसमेतसमाधिविधानं पूर्ववधानं महदवदानम् गुरुचरणाम्भुजनिर्भरभक्तः संसाराध्यचिराद्भवमुक्तः सेन्द्रियमानसनियमादेवं द्रक्ष्यसि निजहृदयस्तं देवम् भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति दुःकृन्करणे. So in the previous class we got the introduction about the light of wisdom, chapter 7, the topic veil of ignorance. The ignorance here refers to the ignorance of the truth, ignorance of the reality, ignorance of the self. There is but one reality, one God, one Atman exists. There is nothing else. But at this moment, entire humanity is unaware of that reality, and entire human race is groping in utter darkness of ignorance of this self, the Atman, the Brahman, the reality. So the role of Vedanta, the purpose of Vedanta philosophy is nothing but helping the human being to discover the self by removing this ignorance of the self and give you the original state. This is what we studied in the previous class a little bit. And also to locate the ignorance of the self, to locate the self, where the self lies, it is, we took the example to understand, just like government, city of the country. Similarly, self is all pervading, self is everywhere, omnipresent. So even though self is everywhere, to locate the Supreme Self, the Atman, you must go within you. You must delve deep within your personality layers of your individuality, and then only you will be able to find your Supreme Self within you. Therefore, the ignorance of one reality is the cause for this entire pluralistic phenomena of this external world, which we are all presently caught up. What is this total pluralistic phenomena of the things and beings we are caught up is nothing but that one reality. So we have taken a little bit example to understand this. There is a rope, and rope alone exists in the dark. You know there is a rope, but the boy in the dark misunderstands to be a snake because he is not aware of the rope lying there. Because of there is no awareness, no recognition, he projects a snake which doesn't exist. So snake is a superimposition, an imaginary object upon the rope. Similarly, friends, we are all just like that boy experiencing this pluralistic world of objects and beings, flora and fauna, valleys and hills, because of the ignorance of the Supreme Self, the Atman. That is what we covered. The moment you gain the knowledge of the Supreme Self, the pluralistic world slowly folds back. Just as when you take that boy who is scared of the snake, you put the light on and then take him to that where he saw the snake, he will experience the rope. There is only rope and rope alone. The snake never existed. But because of the ignorance of darkness, the boy projected the snake. Similarly, with ignorance of the reality, ignorance of the Supreme Self within you, you have projected this fantastic phenomena of this external world, the entire cosmos, the creation of the world is because of the ignorance of the self we understood in the previous class. So, the only way to get out of this world of bondage and suffering and everything is like how you get out of this dark room. You don't have to rearrange the furniture, you don't have to sweep the floor, you don't have to move anything. You just have to switch on the light. The entire room is visible to you and you know exactly how to steer clear of this dark room. Similarly, you are groping in this world and you are entangled in this world, you are crushed by the world, you are suffering in this world because of lack of knowledge, lack of light, wisdom of Vedanta. The moment you gain this knowledge of Vedanta, just as a person who is able to steer himself to clear of this dark room, he is caught up, he can come out by light. Similarly, you get the knowledge of Vedanta and practice it, you will be able to get out of this fantastic illusory projection of this world of plurality, diversity, heterogeneity, and get back to the knowledge of the reality that is your own Supreme Self, the inherent infinite being within you. If not, you will be suffering like a person who is caught up in the dark room. He will be heating with the furniture, getting bruises, getting injured everywhere. Similarly, you get knocks and shocks of this worldly entanglement, stressed out, worried, anxieties. Every part of your life you will be having problems because of you have no light of wisdom, the knowledge. So, because of this ignorance, there is a veritable hell. The world which is a heaven became a hell. So you have to get the light of wisdom into your bosom, gain the knowledge of your supreme self into your life, and it is the ignorance that converts this entire kingdom of heaven into a hell. Therefore, you may use your body to enjoy sensual pleasures. You may use your mind for emotional joys. You may use your intellect for rational satisfaction. You may use all your equipments, but there will not be any satisfaction, contentment, fulfillment through these three equipments, because the very source is ignorance, is the cause for this unfulfillment. The imaginary void which is creating these desires, and these desires creating this body, mind and intellect, and this external fantastic illusory world, and you are entangled in this bodies, mind, intellect, and their respect to pleasures, joys, and satisfaction. Therefore, these material equipments which you are all the time using can never give you permanent satisfaction and total contentment of enduring peace and bliss. It is impossible, because the material equipments are limited and they are always give you ultimately end up in sorrow and misery only. Only way to get out of this bondage and suffering in this world is to gain the alone, and with that knowledge you can reach you the abode of eternal peace and bliss. Every human being is caught up in this world of ignorance, and the remedy is the knowledge of the Supreme Self alone, and it will give you the infinite peace and bliss which you are looking for. So the ignorance of the self is the cause for the generating of these endless desires, which we already covered a little bit. The desires are generated because of the ignorance of the Supreme Self. The moment you gain the knowledge of the self, you become fulfilled, you become complete. No desires at all. The desires, because of these desires, they modify into several applications like greed, lust, delusion, arrogance, envy, hatred at the gross level. The desires have two types. One is gross level, another one is subtle level. Gross level, the desire is at the lower level. For the desires modify themselves into greed, lust, envy, arrogance, fear, anger. All these modifications you experience. At the subtle level, the desire is projected. Desire is converted into aim, ambition, aspiration, goal, a cause, a higher aspiration. All this because of the desires. So, at the lower level, the negative emotions, and the higher level, ambitions and goals at the subtle level. All these passions hold you hostage to this world. You are bound by these desires, clutched by these desires. Then you suffer. You are thereafter in the terrestrial realm of desire and ambition. The way out of your bondage and consequent suffering is to dispel the darkness of ignorance. Consequent suffering is to dispel the darkness of ignorance. You are thereafter bound in the terrestrial realm of desire and ambition. The way out of your bondage and consequent suffering is to dispel the darkness of ignorance. So only way to is ignorance has to be dispelled, removed. Knowledge of the self, knowledge of your Supreme Self provides the light of wisdom. which discharges these desires and give you freedom and relieve you from the worldly clingings, worldly attachments. You will be freed by the knowledge. This light of self-knowledge always glowing within you eternally. Nobody can give you knowledge. Knowledge you have, the Atma Vidya, the Atman you are. You have the Atman within you. Only way is to uncover, discover that knowledge by search within you. That is the only way. Light you are. You need not seek the light from external sources. You need not pray for the light. You did not pray for the self. Self you are already. You have to get out of this self get out this individual ignorance by delve deep into your personality layer. How to approach this? You gain the light only through study, reflection, contemplation upon the truths laid down by the Vedanta. Vedantic knowledge helps you to discover the self within. How to approach it? You have to approach it like a student approaches mathematics and engineering and medicine, any science. You apply your existing intellect and original thinking, free thinking, no prejudices, no biases, no blind beliefs, no preconceived notions, clear mind, clear intellect, independent and original thinking you need to get to the depth of this knowledge. With your intellect, examine, analyze, and accept the truths on their own merit, not because somebody is telling, not because of great master is telling or great book is telling. You have to verify the truth by your own personal experience and experimentation in your personal life. The process of learning will gradually unveil the self within. The gradual discovery, gradual uncovering the truths one by one and reveal to you what the truth is. This must be done by your own independent intellectual application. The knowledge of the does dispels ignorance, resurrects your divine being. It develops you into infinite being. Therefore, what has to be done? This knowledge, many people misunderstand knowledge and ignorance. These are the two words very, very widely used. The current human beings' knowledge and with reference to the ignorance, both differ in degree, not in kind. This must be understood very clearly. The higher rank, 0 to 100, there will be rungs like a ladder. A person who is at the 20% knowledge, below the 20% all ignorance, the ignorance he crossed. So he has got ignorance from 20 to 100. 100% is 100% knowledge. So if he gets the 20% knowledge, he got the 20% only knowledge, rest of that 80% is still ignorant. A person is at the 50%, means 50% he got the knowledge and 50% still ignorance. So this is called knowledge and ignorance. They differ in degree, but never in kind. What is the difference in kind? We are going to understand this. There are relative terms like light and darkness. The light and darkness are also different in degree. They are not different in kind. You see, there are different lights. A pilot lamp, like a candle light, and a tube light, or a big halogen bulb, and bigger than there is a sun rays. So light different in degree, but they are darkness and light both are only changes relatively, but they are not different in kind. Just as here is the example given the same thing. The electrical light is bright compared to the dullness of candle light. same electrical light becomes dull, approves the brilliance of sunlight. Light and darkness, knowledge and ignorance, therefore, are like the positive and negative terms used in mathematics. Along the x-axis or y-axis, a point is said to be positive with reference to its negative side. The same point becomes negative with reference to its positive side. Similarly, the knowledge you possess is considered as knowledge only with reference to the lower level of knowledge. The same would be viewed as ignorance with reference to the higher level of knowledge. So, it is only a comparison. Suppose a fellow can be called rich, for example, just for argument. He has got 100 rupees, he will become rich when a person compared to a 50 rupees fellow. A person who has got 200 rupees, the 100 rupees fellow will become poor. So it is a poor or rich, just like how we compare our ignorance and knowledge, different degree. Or you can still compare with the x-axis and y-axis. So even though -1 in the y-axis, minus side and positive side, -1 is better than -10, positive. But -1 is lower than 0. So it is different in degree, not different in kind. So here is the knowledge also compared to like that. The same point becomes negative with reference to the positive side. So similarly, the knowledge you possess is considered only with reference to the lower level of knowledge. The same would be viewed as ignorance with reference to the higher level of knowledge. Therefore, all knowledge acquired in the world, you acquire any knowledge in any branch of knowledge in the world, all branch of knowledge is different only in degree. You take physics, it is just different in degree. Somebody might have got some knowledge, you must have did research, you got more knowledge about that physics, but you can't say that is the end of it. The physics knowledge keeps expanding. Now there is a medical sciences. There are so many viruses, so many medicines have been discovered, but still there is a corona. There is an upcoming new viruses. There will be always a changing in the knowledge of medicine. There is a different in degree. It can never be absolute knowledge of medicine. So similarly, all knowledges in the world differ in degree, not in kind. You must remember refer to the different in degree. Therefore, all knowledges acquired in the world falls in the realm of ignorance. So how much ever knowledge of whatever branch you have, they all knowledge of the external world lie in the lower level, different in degree, never be in kind. They fall low. So they become ignorance. All the knowledges come under ignorance category when you compare with the knowledge of the reality. Knowledge of the reality alone becomes different in kind. Because the moment you gain the knowledge of the self, you become complete. You become all full. You become all knowing. Omniscient. You become omniscient. All knowing principle. Therefore, all knowledge acquired in the world falls in the realm of ignorance vis-a-vis compared to the absolute knowledge of the Supreme Self. Thus, when you attain the state of self-realization, God realization, your ignorance is completely removed. Until you gain the self-knowledge, your ignorance lingers. Whatever knowledge you have, how much ever knowledge you have about the external world, your ignorance prevails and ignorance never gets wiped out. The only knowledge which removes the complete ignorance is the knowledge of the self. With the knowledge of the self alone, the complete eradication of ignorance that will happen to you. Then you reach the You become totally free from the desire and attachment and suffering, consequent suffering and sorrow. The world will be relieved from the clutches of the world only when you gain the knowledge of the Supreme. You attain the abode of everlasting peace and bliss, liberated from this thraldom of this world only when you gain the knowledge of the reality, knowledge of Brahman. Hence, the reality discovered in your Supreme Self is said to be absolute existence, absolute knowledge, absolute bliss. The knowledge of the self is known as Satchidananda. Sat means existence, Chit means consciousness, knowledge, and Ananda means bliss. That knowledge with which you will achieve absolute existence, absolute knowledge, absolute bliss. These are the three qualities of the enlightenment. So, what is that absolute existence, that infinite state of being, that infinite state of existence, knowledge and bliss? Satchidananda. Sat means pure existence. Your essential being. Your original being is Satchidananda. The self is described as Satchidananda because that is your original nature, intrinsic nature. That is your real being. The true being is the self. Your self, Atman, is Satchidananda. Sat means pure existence, absolute existence. Chit means consciousness, the pure consciousness, pure knowledge. And Ananda means complete bliss, infinite happiness, peace. This is the state of self-realization, which constantly you are already using it, already with it, already enjoying it, but you have lost the cognition. You have lost the recognition. That is, you are caught up in this ignorance. What is that you are using all the time? The possessive pronoun I. You constantly refer to as I am, I. When you are a child, you say, I am a child. When you are a boy, you declare, I am a boy. When you are a man, you declare, I am a man. And when you become old, you declare, I am an old man. Examine these statements. All these statements, I am a child, I am a boy, I am a man, I am an old man. Not only that, you use, I am perceiving, I perceive, I see, I feel. When you use the mind, you say, I feel. When you use your intellect, you say, I think. The person which you are now in the waking state, you say, I am a person in the waking state, so and so. I am, when you go to bed, you get a dream. You enter into the dream world. As a dreamer, experiencing the dream world, you declare, I am that person in the dream, I am the dreamer. And when you go to deep sleep, I am the deep sleeper, I am the person of the deep sleep. So this I continuously coming to you, continuously following you, it will never leave you. I never leave you. I always percolates and permeates and continuously follows in every experience and every transaction you make with this life and in this world. That I is the Supreme Self. The Self has been with you. This I is the Supreme Self, the Atman, forever. You can never lose it. It cannot be lost. It is the permanent factor in you, which is designated as the Atman, the Brahman within you, is that pure I. You, nevertheless, you believe you have lost that Supreme Self. Even though you are the Self, you right now you genuinely believe you have lost that Self, Atman. And this is the ignorance. You feel bound by the limitations of your body, mind and intellect equipments. You believe you are lost to the self and you are caught up in the body, mind, intellect and persecuted by ever changing this external world. This is an erroneous belief. You have to understand this knowledge. This pure I is the Supreme Self. At this moment, you believe you have lost it, even though you are constantly in touch with it, you are constantly in contact with it, but you believe you have lost it and you believe you are caught up in the body, mind, intellect, and suffering. This is erroneous belief. The truth remains that you are eternally free, never bound. This fantastic, imaginary, illusory world brought about by the ignorance of the self. So you never bound, never harassed by the world. All the bondage and harassment you go through are as imaginary as that of your dream world. When you enter into dream, you get into the dream life and become a dreamer and experiencing the dream world of flora and fauna and family and children and all the sufferings and sorrows are in the dream world. The dream, everything in the dream is like a dream. This entire world right now, what you are experiencing is like a dream. A dream, you may imagine in the dream world, you may be suffering from a penury, a poverty and starvation. You have no food to eat, you are suffering in the dream as a dreamer. But it is all your mind projected. You are in the AC room, you are happily sleeping, you have a rich food thing, but you experience a dream because of the mind projected the dream, created the dream, and inside this is all your imagination. But all this, you may dream that all your suffering is imagination brought about by the ignorance of your waker's mind, ignorance of the waking state of consciousness. The moment you wake up and recognize you are the waker, the dream and dream world, whole thing folds back into the waking state of consciousness. Similarly, the suffering and sorrow of this particular waking world and waking state you complain is of just as another projection of your dream. Just as a dream, how you experience a dream world, this waking world, this particular life you are experiencing now, whatever suffering you complain about, whatever your bondage, whatever your limitations you are claiming, all are nothing but ignorance of the Supreme Self, the Atman. Just as a waker got into dream and caught up in the dream, the moment he wakes up, the entire dream and dream world disappears. Similarly, at this moment, as a waker, you are experiencing the waking world and suffering by this world because of the ignorance of the fourth state of consciousness, which is pure self, the Atman, the Brahman. Ignorance of the self is the cause for this bondage in the waking world. So, the self, the Atman, is absolutely peaceful. It is immaculate. It is pure. It is ever blissful. Satchidananda. Satchidananda. Swarupa. Your self is whole, all full, complete, absolutely consciousness, bliss. Satchidananda. But right now, as a waker, you are ignorant of that Supreme Being, ignorant of that Supreme God, the Atman. You are hypnotized yourself. Because of ignorance, you hypnotized yourself that you are the body, you are the mind, you are the intellect. This is a hypnotization you got into. You hypnotized yourself to believe you are the body, mind, intellect, and taken upon yourself their limitations and ordeals of their limitations. Whatever body is going through, you go through. When the body is hot, you declare, I am hot. When the body is cold, you say, I am cold. You are not cold, you are not hot. It's the body is cold, body is hot because of ignorance and wrong association, ignorance of the self and association and remaining long with the body. You are caught up in the body, and whatever body is going through, you go through. Similarly, your joy and sorrow, it belongs to the mind. Mind goes to the fluctuations of happiness and sorrow. But you declare, I am happy, I am unhappy, because of your unintelligent association and attachment to the mind. The mind is causing all troubles because of ignorance of the self. The moment you gain the knowledge of the self, you disconnect from the mind and connect with the self, and you'll be free from this mind as well. That's what these ordeals and limitations of the body, mind, and intellect you have taken upon yourself because of your ignorance of self and your suffering. This is a self-imposed, self-inflicted sorrow and suffering. Your body, your mind, your intellect is your creation, and you, controlled by the body, mind, intellect, you are self-inflicted bondage suffering from. This is ridiculous. This is madness of mankind. You must get out of this weakness, of this wrong, unintelligent way of living. It is absurd. You must put in all your efforts to dehypnotize yourself. You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not the intellect. Who are you? The supreme self, the Atman you are. But you are caught up because of sheer innocence and ignorance, and unintelligently caught up in this body, mind, intellect, and their respective sufferings. So you have to put in extraordinary effort to dehypnotize yourself by asserting your real self. Who are you? The I, the Atman, the self. The body, mind, intellect are your possessions, your equipment. You have them. You are not, nothing to do with them. You come by car, you go by car. Car is nothing to do with you. You have the car. You possess the car. You are not the car. Car is just an outside vehicle. Similarly, the body, the mind, the intellect, all your equipments, your possessions, you have nothing to do with them. You are the self. They belong to you. You are that immaculate self. So, you must assert and regain your essential nature. Who you are is the Atman. You must assert all the time. You must remember. Remind yourself. Remember yourself. Say that you are the Satchidananda Swarupa. You are the Atman. You are the real self. You have nothing to do with this personality, what you claim, what you believe yourself to be today. Become your supreme self, ever free, ever blissful. That is the effort needed in Vedanta, guiding us to get out of this body, mind, intellect, and establish yourself in the